are being joined by Mr. Greg Swenson. He's joining us live from London. He's an international affairs expert and also a China analyst. Now, Mr. Swenson, governments around the world try and set the narrative. They want the narrative that favors them. But in China, what is interesting is that the legacy of their former premier now, Li Keqiang, appears to be censored in a manner that perhaps few would have expected. What do you think is happening? Is Xi Jinping now trying to ensure that even members of his own party cannot have the kind of legacy that is dictated to by their work, but rather it would be dictated to by how Xi Jinping would feel about them?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what Xi is trying to do. It really demonstrates Xi's insecurity and maybe even his vulnerability, given the economic challenges that he's going through right now. I think you could make a very positive argument that the reforms that were proposed during when Li was in office would have been much better for the Chinese economy. As you pointed out, Xi is very opposed to the free market economy, and Li was quite an advocate. He actually, had a couple of different names for it. He used the term platform economy. As little as a year and a half ago, he was promoting free market reforms in sort of coded language. But the pushback from Xi was obvious. So I think you see some insecurity here. You bring up a good point. Most Chinese leaders live well into their 80s, even into their 90s. This is unusual. It's speculation at this point, but it wouldn't be beyond belief to think that Xi would orchestrate something like this. But clearly, in the post-mortem, he's trying to engineer the media and basically censor. So I think it's pretty clear.
Absolutely, indeed, and this is something that he's trying to do with the rest of his cabinet members as well. Anyone who seems to perhaps fall offline from him seems to be paying the price, and this is Xi Jinping, who seems to have become much more insecure in his third term. Is that a sense that you're getting as well?
Absolutely. I mean, look, there's a case of the disappearing leaders lately. It's become a one-man party for sure, the CCP. There's a great line, we can never trust them because they don't trust themselves. So, this is pretty obvious in what Xi is doing. And remember, there's some history here. The Tiananmen Square massacre occurred after a pro-reform CCP general secretary, I believe his name was Hu Yaobang, and that's something that probably worries Xi. He can't afford to have social unrest. So if there's too much attention paid to Li, in absentia or after his death, that would maybe excite the people too much. Yeah, so he's very concerned with that, and I think you can look to 1989 as a benchmark that Xi is probably paying attention to.
Absolutely, indeed, Mr. Greg Swenson. Thank you very much indeed, sir, for joining us and getting us those insights there.
Good to be here. Thank you.